In sports, the scoreboard doesn't tell the full story, but Netflix does. Stories about dads who happen to be world-class quarterbacks and a battle for the heart, soul, and direction of the multi-billion-dollar business of F1. Whether you're a diehard fan or you're brand new, Netflix has the stories for every type of fan. You can watch these incredible sports stories like Quarterback, F1 Drive to Survive, Untold, and many more now on Netflix.
Welcome to the Scarlet Supporters Pembrokeshire podcast. Hello again and welcome to Scarlet Supporters Pembrokeshire podcast. Westerer is Besterer. With me, Lee G, once again. I'm kind of on my own again. Martin's not been able to make it this week. So if you're listening, Mart, I hope everything's okay. I hope you had a nice holiday and a nice break, and we will catch up again after Boxing Day, no doubt. There'll be a lot to talk about after Boxing Day. But so I've got a special guest with me this week, and those of you that have listened to the pod a couple of times will hear me talk about the academy, and I try not to talk about him, but Martin just keeps dropping in there that my boy is in academy and was playing for under-18s last night, so he's home from college, so I thought I'd get him on the pod. So hello, Iolo.
Hello.
You look a little bit shocked there, fella.
Yeah, to realize I was being name dropped all the time.
Well, it's not that, it's just a lot of people listening to this know what it's like to have a kid playing, and I try not to talk about you too much, but Martin does keep dropping in that you're in academy and you're in 18s and stuff. So we'll talk about the under 18s game from last night in a mo. But just generally, how are you feeling after last night? No bumps or bruises or anything?
No, nothing too bad. Got a bit of a friction burn on my shins, but nothing you can't expect from a 4G pitch.
Yeah, and you would have thought with the weather last night that friction burns would have been the last thing.
Yeah, but it's a 4G pitch. Can't really escape friction burns. So,
So we will talk about the academy game, the under 18s game later. But first, we're going to talk about the game from last weekend. So normally we do Scarlet's games first and then Pembrokeshire games after, but there were no Pembrokeshire games last Saturday. There was nothing to report, and there is only one official league game for this weekend, which is the Boxing Day clash between Haverfordwest and Langham. But I have seen a message today that the WRU have said if you want to play rearranged fixtures over the festive period, you're allowed to. You just need to contact them and so on and so forth. So, but as it stands at the minute, it's just Haverfordwest and Langham on Boxing Day, and I'm not making any predictions here at all because we're all big fans of Langham just for turning out a game. Turning up on the pitch, and the Langham Haverfordwest game has always been a bit of a bloodbath. It's one of those games that people just kind of stand there and batter each other for 80 minutes, and at some point somebody chucks a ball in the middle, and then they carry on fighting. So it's always a hotly contested game. So I'm not going to make any predictions on that one. Just that it's going to be a good game to watch. And while we're talking about Boxing Day and what have you, if you want to post any of your Boxing Day photos, any of your local derby fixtures on the Facebook page or on Twitter or whatever, just to let people know what's on, that'd be cool as well. And we'll retweet them and reshare them on our page. So, on to last weekend, Cheetahs away in Italy, which was, and fair play. There were about 200 odd Scarlet supporters here, I think.
Yeah, I think there were more Scarlet supporters than Cheetah supporters.
Yeah, which is, it is a hefty. I think that's the problem with the Cheetahs, that, they are they a team? Are they not a team? They don't really play any regular rugby, so difficult to build any fan base. Whereas, for a lot of the Scarlets boys that went, they were, it was a nice little jaunt just before Christmas to get away from everything.
It'd be nice to get away from the rain in Llanelli for once.
Yeah, when you saw some of the home games, I was absolutely tonking it down over the weekend in some of the games, and then you look at the Scarlets game played in nice sunshine and stuff. It was that's the sort of game you want to be playing in. So anyway, Scarlets Cheetahs, what did you make of the game, Yoss?
Oh, started off quite well. Obviously, Cheetah scored first, which is never a good thing. But first half was quite good. I thought Sam Costello was insane. Second half,
in a good way.
In a good way. Yeah, his kicking was on point. He was nudging it from the touchline off conversions. Always a delight to see. Then second half, don't know what happened. Pretty much just starved of possession, let Cheetahs back into the game, and managed to claw away back out in front by the end. So, if the Cheetahs starved us of possession in the first half, might have been a bit of a different result. So,
well, for me, I thought there was some really good things that I saw come out of that. I thought Fafita was outstanding.
Yeah, Fafita was amazing.
And he playing at number 8 or was he second row? It's hard to see.
He was second row, but I think him and Calamafoni swapped.
Yeah,
like they might have had like conversation before each scrum and asked who wants to go where.
Who fancied it? Yeah, it did look like, and I think that's a good thing because we've now got Calamafoni that can play second row and number 8.
He can probably play back row as well.
Yeah, he could probably play blindside. You've got Blade Thompson playing blindside and number 8. You've got Fafita playing blindside, number 8 and second row. And you've got Aaron Shingler capable of playing second row, blindside number. So you've got it's more of a back 5. Shingler plays 7 originally. I think he's probably lost a little bit of the pace, but he's still got the ability over the ball. So that whole back 5 is now really mobile as a back 5, and I thought that was really where we took them apart because they were just so busy dealing with us running lines, running handoffs and offloads that they couldn't defend further out, because we forced them to defend in tight, and I thought that was a really good kind of way of playing. I know. Lousy had an interception, didn't he? Yeah, he scored a try from an interception.
Yeah.
And that was like 40, 50 odd meters. So
it's not often he gets a opportunity to spread his legs. So
yeah. Well, if you remember in the opening game against the Ospreys, Fafita.
Fafita.
Yeah, he intercepted.
And he looked rapid.
Yeah. So when you've got 2 second rows or back 5 players that are that quick, that's it. You kind of start. You can see how we're building the game around that kind of mobility.
Yeah.
I thought Josh McLeod was outstanding again.
Yeah.
There was one play where he made the tackle, got up, was over the ball, managed to release himself. So he slowed the ball up in the ruck, released himself from the ruck, was out as second defender. So he goes out the back of the ruck, beyond the first defender, into the second defender, and then the ball comes into him, and he makes the tackle again, go down, up, over the ball, and wins a turnover, And the work rate of the guy is absolutely phenomenal. And I just, our back 5 at the minute is really starting to click. But like we said last week on the pod, I think a lot of that comes from the front 3. So Kemsley Matthias, I think, is now really starting to put his hand up and go, hello, take a look at me, because some of the other players, Steph Thomas and what have you, have really put their hands up lately. But it's Kemsley's time, and he's really showing what he can do. So, yeah, I think our front three, and I thought Will Griff-John had another good game. And we've been quite critical of Will Griff-John on the pod for quite some time because he hasn't really showed what he can do. And the last couple of weeks, maybe it's just a European rugby thing, but he's really cranked it up a notch and is starting to show up in rucks and mauls and in the loose, and he's doing all the things that we were hoping he would when he joined.
Yeah.
Yeah. So what did you make of us defensively on the weekend, Joel?
Well, didn't have to do much defending in the first half. But it was only really their first try. Those looked like a bit of miscommunication between Steph Evans and Johnny McNichol. He just went right through them. So,
it looked like Johnny McNichol's got caught flat-footed out on the wing, and the winger comes inside him, and he's just kind of stood there not defending everyone, and Steph Evans couldn't get to the guy from the inside.
Yeah, well, Steph Evans didn't make the tackle anyway, so don't criticise Steph, but yeah, it was Johnny McNichol did look like he was defending two players at once, so it's quite easy to be caught flat-footed on whilst doing that. He just looked like he took a bit too long to make a decision, and
he was through.
Yeah.
So I thought, again, some of our front attacking from the front five was, we were dominating tackles and really stopping them, particularly in the first. I've got to be honest. Yeah. Now you will know this. So this is just for listeners. So my daughter is in pantomime performances over Christmas time, and at halftime I had to go and pick her up from pantomime, and she was late back out of pantomime, so I missed the first 15-20 minutes of the second half, by which time I walked back in the house and it was squeaky bum time. It was we'd gone from quite a commanding lead when I left. I reckon it's because I wasn't watching.
Oh, because normally when you watch, we play terribly.
No, that's the lucky hat. You're thinking you're confusing me with wearing the lucky hat, and the lucky hat wasn't in place over the weekend, and yeah. So, but when I came back in, we actually started playing quite well again. I thought the last 10 minutes we kind of got ourselves back together.
Yeah, last 10 minutes something just clicked and they started playing properly again.
It's because I was there. It was either the lucky hat or the lucky pants, yeah. And the lucky hat wasn't on, so we may have found a new pair of lucky pants. Christmas lucky pants. That's all I'm saying. That sometimes these things work. So don't look at me like that. So, from what I saw, I've gone back and rewatched the start of the game. It was like we took the foot off the gas because the tackling at the start of the second half just wasn't.
It wasn't there.
No, it wasn't. It was. In the first half, we were so dominant in tackles. We were driving them back. We were pushing them left, right, and centre, and they could get no foothold in the game. And they were losing shape really, really quickly. And then we start the second half, and we just go, this is job done. And your foot was off the gas. Let's have a bit of a laugh for the second half, boys. And to be fair to them, they did come back into it, and they did show some really decent rugby, Yeah. So, because a bit of a wake-up call that we've spoken a lot about playing for 80 minutes, And I think on the weekend we probably played for the first 40 and the last 15. But if we can string together a
solid 80,
it
would be dangerous.
I think we'd be unstoppable. I really do. I think
not unstoppable, but pretty decent.
Well, I think when you look at where we are, I can't understand. When you look at how good we play when we're playing well, that first half, if you look at the first half against the Cheetahs, and then you go, how on earth are we, in the bottom 3 of the table?
Second to last.
Yeah. So we shouldn't be there if we're capable of playing like that.
Yeah.
And I hope now that that's the start of, the second half of the season, and actually we go on and do something quite exciting in the second half of the season. If we can continue to play like that, we will rise up the table rapidly, really, really quickly. So, yeah. So, on the whole, I thought when we were playing well, we were really, really good, but we just took our foot off the gas for a couple of minutes in the second half, and that really, really hurt us. So, yeah. So that was that one. So before we come on to the game for the weekend, the Boxing Day game against the Ospreys, let's have a little chat about last night. So let's have a chat about last night's game then. So Scarlets 18s away in Cardiff on Cardiff Arms Park. So first time playing in Cardiff Arms Park.
Yeah.
Yeah. What did you think of it? What do you think of the pitch?
Oh, the pitch was quite nice, actually. Probably the best 4G pitch I've played on. Bit concerned with the stadium design. It's not quite Parker Scarlets in terms of design. There's players' entrance was the same as the fans' entrance, so I can imagine on an actual game day that could get quite hectic. So, yeah, our change room was a bit pushed off to the side, sort of thing.
I think, though, you're used to, being at the park, being at Scarlets.
Yeah.
And fair play to the Scarlets. You usually play your home games on the main pitch, Park Scarlets, and you change in the same changing rooms as the seniors.
Yeah.
So you're treated as in the same way that the senior team are, and I think you're kind of blessed a little like that. So I don't think Ospreys 18s play at
no, I don't
Swansea.com.
No, and Dragons don't play at the at Rodney Parade. Play at Ashford Manach instead.
Yeah,
just not really anywhere near Newport.
And RGC do play on Park Areas.
Yeah, last year, but it was on the 4G pitch to the side of Park Areas.
So not actually on Park Areas.
Yeah, not sure how it's working this year. Could have just been a weather thing. I'm pretty sure RGC had a home. The RGC first team had a home game the day before, so it might have just been given the pitch a rest.
Right.
But I don't know how it's working this year.
So, first experience of Cardiff Arms Park for you was quite, it was quite a nice thing to play on, and it's nice to play in the main stadium, though, isn't it?
Yeah.
But I will be honest. So
it was a nightmare to get there.
It was. Getting into Cardiff at rush hour was, it was a bit insane, wasn't it?
Yeah.
But
it was quite hard to miss the entrance as well.
Yeah, all right. It was right on the corner, and I kind of knew where it was, but it was dark, and I was focusing on the traffic lights, and so I drove past. I turned into Westgate Street, and then the sat-nav went and turned right again, and by the time it had gone turn right again, well, I was halfway down Westgate Street, so I had to do a U-turn in the middle of Westgate Street. Thankfully, it was quite quiet last night, but much easier to do when you're walking and on your way to a game. But the weather last night as well was, for the second half in particular, the rain was just relentless. At times, like usually on a pitch, on a grass pitch, if it's weather like that, you'll see pools of water forming as it comes down. But you don't tend to see that on a 4G pitch because it's basically built on sand. So it all just soaks into the sand and it just goes straight through. Whereas last night, you could see little bits, little puddles forming on a 4G pitch, and I'm like, my God, that's how heavy that rain is, and you could hear it on the tin roof in the stadium, and then after a while, you could hear it running off the tin roof in the stadium, which was a real shame because of the stadium design. The toilets are like right down the far end, so if you needed to go, there was a long old way to walk. But so yeah, conditions in the second half were
atrocious,
really, really bad.
Yeah,
but the first half, what did you make of the first half?
Oh, first half was quite good. Probably to do with the conditions. It was quite dry. Well, mostly quite dry.
Mm-hmm.
We managed to string a few phases together.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, broke them down a few times, made a couple line breaks. All in all, quite decent.
Yeah, I mean, I thought the first 10 minutes was very much, back and forth.
Yeah.
As you would expect, two evenly matched teams. Both sides trying to play rugby. They did have a couple of line breaks. I thought your forwards were absolutely outstanding.
Forwards were amazing.
When they broke a line, there was an offload. So
Yeah.
break a line, offload. And there was a couple of sequences where, it was offload and then offload again and then offload again. So, you're going like three or four offloads and 25, 30 meters. And then there was a ruck, and then the ball was out. So, and the amount of line breaks that were developed between forwards and backs, because again, your forwards kept popping up in between the backs, and that was very easy to offload to your second rows. Yeah, both your second rows were superb last night, and they were running at tiny little centres and then offloading, and you just thought, yeah, this is what we were missing last season. We were missing those big ball carriers. So yeah, how we ended up losing that game, I don't know. But when it was going well last night, it was going really, really well. So about 15, 20 minutes in, was it?
17.
17 minutes. So you're not being picky, you're not being precise or anything, but 17 minutes in, talk us through your try, fella.
Oh well, okay. It was all backs. It was off a slow ruck in midfield, out to Steph to James. James had a nice looping pass over. Yeah, Harry caught it. Nice pop off to me. It was on the wing. Started on the halfway line. Got the ball about 2 meters in front. Had a nice bit of space. Nice, got around the my winger, chip and chase over the fullback, and then beat everyone to the line. Had a ball sat up perfectly, pretty much stopped bang on the try line. Yeah, so I don't think I could ever do another kick like that in my life. So,
watching it from the sidelines, it was one of those bits where you almost kind of imagine it going through, and you go, "Oh, there's a chip," or if the ball just stops there, "Oh, the ball has just stopped there." And to be fair to you, mate, so and it's difficult to do a pod like this, knowing that you're my boy, and going and not trying to go, "Oh, my boy's done this and my boy's done that," yeah. But your pace down the line, like you left everyone for dead. Genuinely, you were level with everyone when you chipped that ball. Yeah. So you turned their fullback so he couldn't get to you. So you had their winger chasing back from the inside and the other winger coming across. But then you also left your own inside players for dead as well. And you were a couple of meters clear by the time you got there. So yeah, I was really chuffed for you, because last year against Cardiff as well, down at the park.
That try was very fluky.
Well, it got intercepted. You caught the ball.
Well, no, it was a charge down.
Yeah, half charge down. You caught the ball on the halfway line and just legged it to the line, but you still had to do the work, and you still had players coming across. You still had to outpace them. So yeah, last night it's quite nice seeing you because I know how fast you are and how strong you are and all of this kind of stuff, yeah? Don't get big-headed now, yeah? Don't get big-headed. But it's quite nice to actually see you running with the ball, because if we can do that more often, if we can put you in, you don't even need space. You just need 5 meters to run at a player.
That is space.
And you'll go through it. Oh, do you know what I mean?
Yeah.
Yeah. So like I say, it would have been really easy for any of those players inside you last night to just take the ball into contact, and they didn't. It was, right, let's work it to the wing. And the pass, I said, James's pass to Harry, that took out 2 key players. Yeah. And then Harry just straight pass to you.
That put I don't think he even took a step. It was literally catch, draw, pass.
Yeah.
That was quite good.
Well, because he'd drawn the outside centre, and his pass to you effectively put you outside the winger. So the easy work there was done, and you just had the full back and the covering defenders to beat. So it was good to see you scoring a try, but I couldn't, because I wasn't around any. Like normally the whole family go up, which is, there were whole families there last night, like we used to at the park. And it's quite funny because everybody's quiet, and then all of a sudden when whoever they're there to support gets a ball, there'll be one section of the crowd going, "Oh yes, come on," like this kind of, and you're like, "Whoa, what happened there?" Like, But I was on my own, so when you score and everyone's going, "Oh, good try," and inside I'm going, "Yes, my boy, come on!" But I couldn't do anything. I had to sit there and go, "Oh yes, good try, good." I'll be honest, when you scored, everyone was covering inside. I couldn't see if it was you or if the ball had bounced and somebody else had got to it. It was only when they announced that you had scored, I figured, "Oh, okay, you had got to it." So yeah, that was a good try, mate. It was a good try. But then Cardiff came straight back.
Yeah.
They had another try then. And then the second half, so you went into half-time at 12-11 up. Yeah. There were probably 2-3 opportunities. You know?
It was more conditions than anything. It was...
Don't go making excuses.
It was a few balls that got knocked on that if they were held on, maybe like 2 or 3 phases later would have scored. A few offloads, if they would have gone to hand, it would have scored, sort of thing. So yeah, it was a bit of a frustrating game. And then by the end we were losing the kicking battle, so it's a bit hard to regain momentum. And Cardiff did kick very well. Off out of hand, off tee. Harry, the Cardiff 10, he seemed like he could just nudge it over from anywhere within our half. So it was...
Well, I was watching him warming up, and he was missing kicks left, right, and centre when he was warming up. And I was like, "Oh, well," because you usually expect a couple of penalties with conditions like that. You'd normally expect a couple of penalties, and I was watching him. And he was practicing kicks on the 22-yard line and missing them. And I'm like, "Oh, this is easy." And then when you're in the game, when he starts taking kicks from the 40-meter and the halfway line, and you're like, he's no, and then it's over. And you're like, "Holy cow." So it was one of those things. But I think the kicking out of hand, in the second half, Cardiff didn't really try to play. They made the most of the conditions, and they just put the ball into space. They didn't play outside the Scarlets 22, and I think they only visited the Scarlets 22 twice. Yeah, and they scored a try and a penalty.
Yeah.
So, and that was a difference in the second half. Was the penalties. That one try, which was a well taken try. But that came again from a penalty. Kick to the corner, a couple of bits and bobs, then there was some play, and then, over he went. But up until that point, defence was holding solid. They didn't look like they were creating much. They didn't look like you were under a lot of pressure. They didn't put massive pressure on you. But when you boys were, the bit that frustrated me was you were gaining a lot of territory from box kicks.
Yeah.
They couldn't defend box kicks for Toffee last night. And then, so we'd go box kick and they'd knock it on or whatever. And that's both sides of the park. It was your side and the other wing, you know. And then, so we'd have the ball back. And then instead of box kicking again, which I'm not a fan of the box kick, but it was working last night.
I'm now a fan of the box kick.
That's you.
It's the only thing I get to do on a rainy day.
But, you know, it was paying dividends. But then we tried to go back to play the fancy offload game, and the ball was just, you know, I can't remember in the second half any point where we put more than 2 passes together without the ball, you know, being lost somewhere. And that's no criticism of the players, because, say, it was horrendous.
It's more playing the conditions.
Yeah. And I think that's a good learning curve for you guys to go back with and just go, you know, at some point, this is where we were winning the game, and this is where Cardiff won the game. You know, tactically, Cardiff won that game by hoofing the ball 50 odd meters.
Yeah.
Whereas we were still trying to play that exciting Fiji style of rugby where we were offloading and, you know, trying to do the fancy bits. So, yeah, you know, full credit to the boys for trying to stick with it and play that. But we should have won that game comfortably last night. What I will say is we brought on Fraser Jones with 10, 15 minutes to go.
And he has got one hell of a boot on him.
He was hoofing it 22-22 on the arm spot. You know, that's a big pitch. Yeah. And he was quite comfortably hoofing it 22-22. And it was like watching a pro kick the ball. It really was. And I've been impressed with him at Llandudbury. I think he's a strong runner. So just so everyone knows, you played in the centre with Fraser at Narberth.
Yeah.
So you know how strong a runner he is at the centre, and having you and him run at people used to cause havoc. So seeing him switch to 10, or switch back to 10, and then, you know, we know what he can do with ball in hand. He's a really, really strong runner. But seeing him kick last night, I thought of all the times for him to be on the pitch, that was the time for him to be on the pitch. You know, because he was just ping, gone, ping, and that's what you needed. So who was the guy playing outside half? So you
Steph Jack.
So, you know, he's a really dynamic player. Puts defences under a lot of pressure. Lovely set of hands. Quite a strong runner as well. He committed their back row, and there was a lot made of their back row because you had Harry Bedell back and this, that, and the other, and they did have a big back row.
Yeah,
but you know, he was running into their back row, and they weren't doing anything with him. And our back row last night were fantastic. You know, so who were our 2 flankers last night?
Tian and Keanu.
So
and Tian had to go on the wing as well, and managed to beat about 4 defenders in one run. He's coming for my position.
Who was open side? Which one played open?
I think it was Keanu.
Right, because his work rate last night was, you know, absolutely superb. The amount of times where he'd be down, up, over, and you're looking at it and you're going like, you know, you can't play the whole game that way. You know, he just hasn't got the gas in the tank to do it, and he absolutely did. You know, and the other flanker was Tian. You know, his tackling, he was chasing backs down and putting backs down. Quick. You know, solidly all through the game, and it just didn't give Cardiff any ground to go forward with, which unfortunately meant that they kicked. And that's where they won the game, because they just hoofed the ball into our 22, and then we'd knock it on, and we gave them places to go. So
they did with their kicking game as well. They did stick us like right down next to the touchline, where it's a hard angle to get distance. So it was long kicking and smart kicking that pretty much won Cardiff the game.
So you've got a nice little break now over Christmas, but you're still training with the 18s over Christmas, I'm assuming. Yeah. So this is good now. See, this is what people don't realise is, so we live about an hour and 15 away from Parker Scarlets, and all the training's done at Parker Scarlets or CSG, and you see your academy as well. So you do additional training with academy, and you do training with this, that, and the other. So like last year when you were learning to drive, it was like we were up and down the M4 and up past Carmarthen, constantly, and it's a full old, because you're there for like 3 hours and there's no point in like coming back and then going up. She's sitting there in Llanelli, and there's only so many times I want to say to Mum, go to Primark. Do you know what I mean? Because your sister she'd live in Primark if she was given a chance, but it takes a lot of commitment to go and do that kind of thing from a family point of view. So this year, so you bust your shoulder at the earlier part of the year, dislocated your shoulders, you couldn't drive then, so you're only just getting back into driving yourself back and forth. So now it's lovely. I don't have to worry about any of your training or any of this, that and the other.
No 4:30 wake-ups.
So to get to him, so just so people know, because we don't really know what academy training is like. So your academy training last Friday and Saturday was
it's 7 o'clock gym at Parker Scarlets.
So
I mean,
but you had to be there at 2:45.
I had to be there 6:45 for, it was like essentially a warm up.
Yeah,
because it's morning and people's muscles aren't that stretched.
So that means leaving home at
5:30 at the latest.
Yeah, so that means getting up at
between 4:30 and 4:45
to go training.
Yeah,
that's
so coming back at like, so then skills is normally like 9 till 10, 9 till half 10. So it means I'm coming back at 11 o'clock, and I've been awake for 6.5 hours, and I'm ready to go back to bed, because normally on the weekend I'm not up by then. Yeah, I normally wake up at midday at the earliest, and then I'm pretty much ready to go back to sleep at 6 o'clock at night. So
that sounds like being a teenager, isn't it, mate? I know. So anyway, so there's a couple of training sessions over Christmas, and when's the next game?
January 4th,
which is
Dragons at the Park.
Dragons at the Park. So that'll be just after New Year's Day is Blues at the so Cardiff at the Park, isn't it? Yeah. So that'll be a nice kind of week to be at the Park, won't it?
Yeah, January 4th, also enough time to lose the Christmas weight.
Yeah. So we'll do a little bit more before then, which will be quite nice. So okay, so let's finish off then with this week's game, which is Boxing Day game, Scarlets against Ospreys. So yeah, Ospreys away, Boxing Day. So we've had two bonus point wins in Europe. Ospreys have had a bad loss and a good win. And to be fair, their game last Saturday against Montpellier, I thought Montpellier took them lightly, and were just expecting to walk away with that game. It didn't look like they were really up for it, but Ospreys played them off the park and just didn't let them get anywhere. Whereas we've been running in tries left, right and centre. We've probably left 2 or 3 tries on the park in each game we've played. And our defence has really, really improved. So, what are your expectations for this weekend?
Don't really know, because obviously our attack's been a lot better in the last 2 games, but I say the Ospreys' defence is probably stronger than that of Cheetahs, especially. So it'd be nice to see if our defence, if our attack can still function against the good quality defence. So yeah, that'll really show if we're ready to compete at the top again.
Yeah, and I think if you consider that first game of the season, where
it was a draw.
It was a draw. We should have won that game again quite comfortably, because there were a couple of line breaks there, a couple of opportunities that we should have probably converted, and Tipperick should have been sent off. Don't care what the Ospreys say, Tipperick should have been sent off. He should have had a yellow card, and I think Costello got yellow carded in that one as well for farting in the wrong direction. So, that was the one where Costello was genuine. It was a tip tackle in the side of a ruck, wasn't it? He tipped him in the side of a ruck.
I can't remember.
Yeah, it comes back to me now. It was the game after. It was the Ulster game where he barely touched him. Anyway, Osprey's defence against Scarlet attack, it will kind of cancel each other out. I can definitely see us putting a couple of tries past them again.
Hopefully, Ryan Combi will get another hat trick.
Yeah, well, Combi has been playing really, really well.
Yeah, he's been scoring for fun.
Yeah, and he just seems, the boy's powerful. He's a really, really strong, powerful runner. He's quick. He's aggressive. He's worked on his defence in the air, and that has improved massively now. It just feels like we're going in the right direction. It feels like everything's starting to come together. But this is it's a local derby from two sides. Neither of us have had a great start to the season in the URC.
Ospreys have had a slightly better start. I say they're one place ahead of us?
Yeah, they've only won 2 games though, haven't they?
Yeah. No, I'm pretty sure that was against one of them was against Zebra, wasn't it?
Yeah, well, no, that was us. Well, our only win is against Zebra, and I think they've had 1 win and 2 draws. So and that draw was against us, and some. So they're not that far ahead of us in the league, but our try scoring has been quite a bit ahead of the Ospreys, and I think that's a bit that separated us from them, as being our ability to score tries. We went through a little bit of a dodgy patch against Connaught, where we'd forgotten how to score tries, but it feels like we're back now and that confidence is there. So it really depends on whether our attack can outsmart their defence and whether their defence can outsmart our attack, whether those two cancel each other out, and then it comes down to, our defence. How much is our defence improved against? Have they developed any sort of attack other than a kick chase? So it's a really, really interesting game to watch. It's going to be, I'm guessing at least 2 or 3 yellow cards, at least, just because it's
a bit of a feisty one.
It is going to be a bit of a crazy game. And I hope we get. I was saying on my other podcast, on the Rap podcast, that when we play that game at Parker Scarlets, the game, every time the festive game is played there, it's sold out comfortably. That's 14,000 people there, and you just for that game you could probably add another 3,000 or 4,000 comfortably for that game. So Ospreys, I think the Ospreys Stadium is 23,000 capacity. So they should be looking at being 50% full quite comfortably, and probably more. That should be, of all the games where you aim to fill the stadium, that's got to be one of them. So it'll be good to see a good crowd. It'll be good to see a decent game. You and I won't be there. We'll be sat at home watching because we've got your sister's pantomime.
Still something to laugh about.
The conversation, just so everyone knows, the conversation around that went something like this. So my wife said, so I've got tickets. We're going to go and see the pantomime on Boxing Day. And my instant reaction was no. At which point my wife looked at me with eyes that could have split me in two at the time. And I went, oh, is it the early one or the late one? And she went, it's the early one, the 2:00 performance. So I had a quick look on the phone while she was standing there giving me evil eyes. And I went, oh, yeah, that's fine. We'll be back by 5:15, won't we? Yeah, okay, yeah, that's fine. Yeah, love to go. So it just means that we can't go up to the game, but we will be back to watch it. So we'll miss the Cardiff Dragons game, but I'm sure we'll have that recorded.
And it is Cardiff Dragons.
Yeah.
Who really cares?
So, yeah, what's your score prediction then for this weekend?
It's either going to be like 21-14, or it's going to be a mad, like, both scoring 30 points. Both teams score 30 points sort of game. I'm not really sure which.
What you mean is you don't want to put your...
I don't want to do anything just in case I'm wrong.
Well, I'm going to go for a Scarlets win by 10 points, just because I think we've got it in us. I really do. I would love to see us put them to the sword. I would love to see them come being all cocky and amazing and look at us. And, you know, first 10, 15 minutes, we blow them away. We put 3 tries on them, and then we spend the rest of the game chasing that, you know, 4th one and the 5th one and the 6th one. I would love to see that. I can't see it happening. I think it'll, like I say, I think it'll be quite tight and aggressive up front. But I think the way our forwards have been playing the last couple of games, we will only get better and better as we go. The battle I'm looking forward to seeing, I'm looking forward to Costello against Owen Williams. I think that's a good one.
I reckon Costello will have that.
I'm looking forward to McLeod against Morgan, because, you know, Josh McLeod showed Morgan this is how you be a superb number 7, you know. So yeah, I think that's a good one. And then whoever's at number 8, you know, Morgan Morris has been playing really well for the Ospreys at number 8 of late. So whichever one of our 6 players that can play at number 8, it'll be good to see. I hope Blade Thompson gets there. I'd love to see Fafita at 6, and Cal Maffoni and Lousy in the second row, Blade Thompson at 8, and then McLeod. I think that's a really strong back 5, with then, you know, the Price Boys to come on after that, maybe Dan Davis. So yeah, I think it's going to be a cracker of a game, a belter of a game, and then we've got the Cardiff and then the Dragons after that. So yes, it's all kind of coming good, and if we can get through the festive period with a couple of wins and a couple of bonus points, you know, all of a sudden we're in the top half of the table and we're looking good, ready for the second half of the season. So fingers crossed, that's where we are, that's what we're doing, and that's us pretty much done for today, mate. So pleasure having you on.
It's been a pleasure talking to you.
Which makes a change. Oh, when your mum finds out that this is what we did all afternoon, instead of cleaning the house ready for Christmas, one of us is in trouble, mate.
Yes, you.
So, y'all, all the best for the rest of the season, mate. And for everybody else listening, Martin, I hope things are okay, mate. Give us a shout. Let us know how things are going, and I hope everybody else has a really good Christmas, and enjoy your rugby. All the best. You have been listening to the Westerer is Besterer podcast from the Scarlet Supporters PEMS team. You can follow us on Twitter on Scarlet PEMS, find us on Facebook with Scarlet Supporters Pembrokeshire, or email us on scarletspems@gmail.com. And remember, West is best, but Westerer is Besterer. Cheers.
Sports Social Podcast Network.